Now, Lori, something else has happened, something very important about a topic we talk about on the show all the time, because this is dealing with, again, issues about how we are being perceived within our own communities, and talking about this whole idea that I say is limited freedom that exists in our communities. And what is that we're talking about? A new significant development has happened.
Well, today a federal judge has given permission for class action status for the stop and frisk situation here in New York, because they determined that, you know, there's overwhelming, you know, quote, overwhelming evidence to prove that there's been discriminatory stops of blacks and Latinos over the past few years, where a good portion of them go home, you know, with no incident. So, you know, that was interesting enough, but then the mayor's response is typical, but interesting as well, where the mayor is basically saying, well, I'm not going to apologize, and the police commissioner, Kelly, is not going to apologize because they know that they quote, know, you know, like you said in quotes, that that this procedure that they've been instituting has saved 5,000 to 6,000 lives. I don't know where that number came from or how they can prove that, but it's interesting that they really don't want to be, they want to be totally unmoving with the issue, even though it is, like the federal judge said, overwhelming. That it is a discriminatory practice.
When you talk about just in this year alone, 600,000 stops, and that went from 500,000, that went from 400,000, that went from 300,000. You're talking about 1 million people, and you're talking about 90-something% of those people are innocent. They're just doing what they normally do. They're doing what you might do in your particular community if you're not an African American or Latino. They're walking down the street. They're going to the grocery store. They're getting some milk or some bread, or they're playing with their kids outside or whatever, or they're sweeping the garbage up in front of their house, and they're being stopped and questioned. This is not Nazi Germany. This is America. When we talk about the idea of freedom, okay? This is not Lebanon, okay? This is America. And if we believe in freedom, then we need to believe in freedom for everybody, not just in the communities where they happen to be white people that don't have to deal with this, but in black and Latino communities. And I'm tired of this crap, and I'm frustrated. I want to implore the white community to stand with us in fighting against injustice in our community. And stop and frisk is a major injustice, and it shouldn't stand any longer. Bert?
There's a collateral or analogous issue that Lori expounded on, that stop and frisk. There's one issue in the city dealing with cabs, where they stop cabs, and they will occasionally arrest the passengers in there. That's, you know, the problem with cab drivers getting robbed and all that. And there's been an issue about them doing too much of that. And the ones who, of course, get arrested are blacks or Latinos in the cabs. So that is similar to that stop and frisk issue.
Yeah, well, you know what, the other issue is that even though the other reason that we should have, again, people unified standing in the name of justice is that even if this class action case, this is a small step in the right direction, but even if class action status is given, and even if we were to go to court and win a large judgment, this is going to cost the people of New York money,
yeah.
You know, because this money comes out of the coffers of, you know, our tax-paying dollars. And even though we have a lot of these unfortunate judgments where the police department pays judgments for their wrongdoings, it costs us money anyway. Yep. So even if we do get small bits of justice here and there, we still need to fight to get rid of this practice altogether, because it is unfortunately not working.
Well, I want to move the conversation to something else that we find quite unfortunate. Again, it's about people understanding economics. People understanding, you know, business, right? Lori, we've been talking in the last couple of weeks about, you know, debit and credit cards and payday loans and things like that. And so someone asked the question, is prepaid debit cards a good thing? So we are responding to that intelligent question. And I know when I sent you the article, I know you were ready for this one. What is the deal with these prepaid debit cards? Are they a gold mine, or are they a bust? What do you think?
Well, I think again, it's an exercise in teaching us that we have no self-restraint, because these prepaid debit cards, even at a minimum, they're going to wind up costing you a monthly charge of $5 a month or whatever it costs to even have the card. And people who don't have the money to begin with shouldn't want to even pay that $5. So I think they should really make an effort to look this situation over. And then they also need to recognize that the people who are looking to have some sort of a credit history, this is not the answer. If you need to get a credit card and
So let me ask the question. Let me just stop you for a second and ask this question. So those people that are trying to build a credit history, what would be the alternative to that then? If we're not talking about a prepaid debit card, what would be something that might be an alternative to help them out?
Well, they have secured credit cards,
So
which is basically
your own saved money and
yeah, your money is actually securing the credit card, so you're actually using a credit card, but they don't have to worry about whether or not your credit rating is.
So you should save up some money, and then get you a secured card, and you also build a credit line. Now, the thing about that, Bert, that I don't understand is why don't they allow a credit history built with a prepaid debit card? Why are they not doing that?
Well, banks are in the business of making money. So while they're banking, it's a bank. So they're trying to get more in there.
So are the protections on a prepaid debit card the same as they are on a credit card?
No. What Laurie mentioned is the secure credit card. The secure credit card is collateralized with your money, but still, a secure credit card is much better than the prepaid debit card in terms of if you want to build up a credit rating. And it's important to have a good credit rating. Let's not forget that. And the best way to get to that, if you don't have it, is a secure credit card, because secure credit cards are treated similar to regular credit cards, in that there's a report that's given monthly in terms of if you pay it on time, and it's the same features, the same information that's given credit cards. And even though the difference is that you have to put your own money in there, at least you build up a record if you are, of course, diligent about your own credit. And so secure credit card is a better way in terms of having a banking background.
Now, the interesting thing about this, there's been a movement now for banks to get into doing all type of different things. Our communities, blacks and Latinos, which they seem to be targeted now, were never one of their best customers. They used to be offering all of these these luxury services to other communities, but now they seem to be interested in our community. And this is a thing that they've been pushing big time. And one of my concerns is that, like you said, Bert, the prepaid debit card doesn't have the same protections as a credit card. So banks are not obligated to do what? They don't have to follow any rules or regulations. This is such a new thing that they can kind of make up their own rules. And is there anything that can enforce them? Is there any organization that can regulate them in terms of how they do things?
Well, that's why there's so much, it's actually, the industry is being flooded. I know Russell Simmons had one, there's some controversy with his card and some charges that he had.
Susie Orman has one also.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing this because, like you said, it is unregulated and there's no rules yet, so people can just go as they want. But again, the issue is that the charges, this is making money. I mean, banks used to be in the business, they wanted to make money, they wanted to have the use of your money and be able to make investments and make money off of that. But the banks were basically there to provide you a service. Now it just seems like banks are out there to get the dollar, and it's unfortunate because people they do say people can go to alternatives like credit unions and things like that to see if they can get a little bit more of a better deal. But it's unfortunate now that this whole mercenary mentality is just inundating the banks, where they're trying to get into payday loans and debit cards and everything that they can to just try and make as much money as they can. But I guess given the situation with J.P. Morgan Chase this week, where one of their credit default swaps went bust, and they're estimating a $2 to $3 billion loss. I mean, I guess now they're trying to look for alternatives to make up the money that they used to make in other ways.
Well, again, banks are a business, and so they're going to do what they do best, and they're going to try to make money. And this is where we as consumers have to be intelligent, and especially in our communities, because if that bank didn't want to open a branch, or when they did have a branch in my community and they closed it, why am I doing business with them? Okay? Why is there some type of check cashing place opening or instead of a credit union in our communities and stuff? You know, we seem to think that we don't have any power or any say on what happens in our community. We'll welcome a Chinese restaurant in a second, but we don't applaud and support that credit union that might open in the community. I remember there was a Central Brooklyn Credit Union. These young brothers and sisters started it, and then people didn't support it, and eventually they closed. But the whole idea was that we had people that cared about us, that were interested in providing services to us, and we need to, and that goes back to even black businesses. We need to be out here supporting those businesses.